Hi, this is Matt Cullen at Coup84_FF, and you're listening to the Dynasty Hotseat.
Yes, hello everyone, and welcome back once again to another episode of the Dynasty Hotseat. It's the only Dynasty show out there that is a certified inferno. And today we've got over here beside me, we got Matt Cullen. You can find him over at Coup84_FF. Doing lots of great things in the community at the minute. You know, he's a guy that invented the JTT Cup that you might be in at the minute. You might see some people drafting, and you know, he does loads of stuff across the Dynasty and the fantasy football community. So it's great to have Matt on the show. And so say, Matt, thanks for taking the time on a roasting hot day to come onto the show and chat with us. How you doing?
Yeah, good. It's interesting you mentioned Inferno, because that's what it feels like at the moment in the UK, definitely.
Yeah.
But really pleased to be on to talk about all things Dynasty. Really enjoy being on podcasts and different shows, so it'd be great chatting with you today.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to get going. And just want to remind everyone, you're listening to this right at the top. If you listen to this first time or a long time, see if you can go ahead, just hit that subscribe button, hit those like buttons wherever you're listening. You know, it really does help grow the show. And we got behind the scene of the Hall of Flame that I'm sure Matt might have noticed a few names on there you might recognize. We've got Murph sitting up at number 1. We got Jess Stein at number 2. We got Kev, the Dynasty Goat, sitting at number 3. The way you can get Matt onto this board, you got to go to YouTube. You got to give this video a thumbs up. The more he gets, the higher he'll go. So let's see if we can get Matt into the top 3. That'll be good, wouldn't it, Matt?
Yeah, it'll be great to get on the board, and I'd really like to beat Murph, because that's one of my life goals.
Life goals, just in general, just beat Murph at whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
Love it. And we're going to get right in now to section number 1, which is the art of war. And Matt, it's just some hints and tips that you got for Dynasty players listening all over the world. What you got for them?
So I've made kind of three key things. I've been playing Dynasty for only about 4 or 5 years, to be honest. I've been doing redraft in fantasy since about 2010. I got into Dynasty and never really looked back. Although I play a lot of best ball now as well. So, but with Dynasty, I think the number one thing I'm thinking about is, what am I doing with my team? So I'm in some Dynasty leagues, some that I commissioner, and there are guys who sit in the middle, almost in the playoffs, maybe just out the playoffs in a 12-man, 14-man league, year after year after year. They don't make many moves, and that might be fine. They might just be in there for the social aspect and a bit of fun. But they're just middlers, what I call middlers. And for me, I'm always thinking about, am I contending or am I rebuilding? And the two opposite ends of the scale to them middlers. And if I'm not contending, then I should be thinking about what moves I need to make to build for the future. And I think if you look at your roster and you don't know which one of them two you are, then you need to work it out and do your best to progress towards one of them things, because you can turn a rebuild into a win now, into a contender, but it takes some time and it takes some planning. And some people don't think far enough ahead. They're just playing what's in front of them within that season. That'd be my kind of number one thing that I certainly think about when I'm playing.
Yeah, I think it's great advice. You know, the worst place you can be playing Dynasty, I think you're right, is what do you call a middler, being a middler, because you're never getting better as well, because even if you don't trade away your draft picks, you're kind of getting middle round draft picks. You're getting kind of like okay guys, no one that's going to be a real difference maker. And yeah, you're not improving your team by picking up those real value players at the start of drafts. So by losing and like kind of blowing up your team, you're going to get all those guys and just selling everyone. Or you're going the complete other direction and you're buying those high-end talents and seeing if you can win. And it's all about, being honest with yourself as well, and not just thinking, oh, I've got Jerry Jeudy. He's going to be your wide receiver 2 overall this year because he's got a new quarterback. It's taking a step back and really being honest with what you got in front of you and not just assuming you're going to get lucky over and over again.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like, you've got, we talk about the middlers and the people that sit in the middle. You do have people that contend every year, and you do have people that are not that great every year as well in the same leagues. And that's why those people that contend every year are contending every year, because then people in the middle and then people that are near the bottom year after year without doing anything about it are the reason you might, in some leagues, not all, have the same contenders year.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I think that's a great first tip for everybody, Matt. And you got 2 more tips for us as well, do you?
Yeah. So number 2, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's interesting that I made this note a few days ago, and then the UK FFC, which is obviously on this Saturday, announced their third and final panel today for Saturday, and it's about age. It's about how we value age when playing Dynasty. So I'm really pleased they're doing a panel about it, because my second tip that I wrote down was think about age, but don't overthink it. So, and it kind of ties into my first point in that if you are rebuilding, sometimes you are going to want a younger team. And a lot of your contenders are going to be teams full of not veteran players, players in their mid-30s and early 30s, but people hitting their peak, 27, 28, 29 years old, scattered with a little bit of veteran and a little bit of, you might hit on a rookie like a Jamar Chase or someone like that.
Yeah.
You might make a really good call and or get really, really lucky with a rookie pick. Okay. So I think when you're thinking about point 1 in rebuilding or contending and what you're doing, you want to be thinking about age and looking forward. How many years is it going to take you to be a contender? And then what kind of age player are you going to target to get there in 2, 3, 4 years, or whatever that might be, whatever your plan is. But as I said, I also think people shouldn't overthink it. There's some great players out there that are in their late 20s, early 30s who can still do you a great job for 3, 4 more years. And I think there'll be players out there who don't even look at age. And I wouldn't say I'm an expert on age, but when I'm thinking about what I'm doing with my team, I'm looking at ages, definitely. And there's players out there in the league who you feel have been around forever who are only 26 or only 27. Yeah. And it will surprise you. You'll think they're 30, 31, and you look their age up, and actually they're not. So I think being close to that is quite important in terms of helping you with point 1 that I made.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, I think you're right about those players. Like, I'm sure Juju Smith-Schuster is aging in reverse, right? Every time I look at him, he's getting younger and younger, right? It's absolutely mental. And then you got to think as well, like, not age is a funny one as well. So, like, I heard, I can't remember who told me a while ago, like Alexander Madison, who's been in the league for years, is only 1 year older than Najee Harris.
Yeah.
So it's like, doesn't always translate to experience and age, and then obviously different people have got different tread on the tires. Like if you overthink it, I think you're just going to end up, running yourself around in circles, and just try and keep it simple. I always like to think of it like 3 kind of categories, and some players do overlap, but like you've got your futures for tomorrow, you've got your futures for today, and then you got like your rentals as well, like your 1 year rental players or your 2 year rent that are just going to go away, and they're just for like championship teams, really, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that'll be very interesting on Saturday to hear.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear from the guys that are on there. Certainly much more expert on the field than I am. I'm really looking forward to listening to them on panel 3 on Saturday.
Yeah, that'll be brilliant. And yeah, that's a great second tip for everybody there. And what do you got for us for your third and final tip, Matt?
So I'm going to cheat a little bit, because I actually wrote 4 down and then thought I need to keep it to 3, but I'm going to lump these last 2 in together because
sounds good.
They kind of go hand in hand. And this is the one that I'm really rubbish at when it comes to Dynasty. And the reason that I think I'm not as good as I could be when playing Dynasty, in that I'm not close enough to what's going on in college football. You've got some great people out there online who produce content around people coming through college. I know that next year is seen as a good year, but I couldn't tell you. I couldn't give you 5 names of players that are likely to declare for next year's draft right now. I couldn't. And I say every year to myself, I'm going to do it, and I never do. I never get round to it. And I think if you're thinking about point 1, rebuilding or winning now, contending, looking ahead to next year's draft, looking ahead to the year after, if the class for next year or the year after is not seen as fantastic, then get rid of them picks and use them to hone in on what I said in point 1. Staying close to what's going on in college. And then the other side of it, again, something that the information's out there, but I'm not good at looking it up, is individual players' contract situations. So again, when you're thinking about, am I contending next year, the year after, what am I rebuilding? Who's likely to move? You know, what's the dynamic going to be if X player changes team? Yeah. So we've got a ton of players this summer, as always, who have moved team. And it does increase or decrease their value. You know, Juju Smith-Schuster was terrible last year, but the fact that he's gone to the Chiefs has, I believe, increased his value and certainly lowered his ADP. So understanding contract situations and where players are with that and where they might be next year is another important thing. The info's out there. It's not hard to look it up. It's just finding the time to do it, and that's what I'm not very good at.
Yeah, 100%. And I know that one of the best guests I've had on here, Antonio Carnevale, he did that as one of his main points, was looking at player contracts, and he gave a really good website. I'll have to go back and check. I'll send you the link after, but he gave a really good website that has really simple, like, players on their contract year, players with 2 years left, and just like the whole layout of the contract. You can filter it. It seems to be very, very easy to use. So that would be like a quick thing to have a look at for that.
Right.
Yeah, it does have a huge part to play. Like, even somebody like Josh Jacobs, you know, sort of been more widespread that he's not going to be picked up for his next year. So now he's in a contract year. That changes things a little bit. And definitely having those college players as well. And that could even go deeper as well. Like, what is the draft order going to look like for next year? What is it predicted to look like? Where are some of these young guys going to end up? Like, you know, CJ Stroud is one of those hyped up quarterbacks, but he could end up anywhere next year, and all of a sudden he's not as hyped up anymore. So it is, you're right, it's finding the time. It's, you know, obviously us both being from the UK is extra hard as well sometimes to find the time to get college football worked in too, right?
Yeah, definitely. But there's some great guys out there who know a lot about what's going on in future years. Who come into the NFL that you can, and a lot of them are UK based. So it's just finding the time to digest some of that content, really.
Yeah, 100% agree. And you're right. You know, bless those people who write those Twitter threads and post up those YouTube videos. I kind of use them a lot instead of diving into it more myself. So that's a tip I'm going to try and take on board for the new season, Matt. That's a good one.
Yeah,
lovely. So that ends part number 1, Matt. So we're about to switch it up now. We're going to get into the main part of the show, which is, you know, the hot seat mock draft. So let's pull up our sleeper stream here, and you can see that we got 12 teams here, and it is a super flex, and there are 18 rounds. So not the longest draft, it's 18 rounds. And the first thing I'm going to ask you, Matt, is, you know, in an absolutely ideal world, if you got to choose exactly where you could start for this, you know, Dynasty Superflex draft, what position would you pick, and why would you choose that position?
So for Dynasty, I like kind of mid to late, so like an 8 or a 9. So let's go with 8, 2/3 of the way through. In best ball, I like later on, but Dynasty, I'd say 8.
Nice. Let's get position 8 locked up then, and we'll start the draft, and we'll see who is going to fall to us in round number 1. As You expect these quarterbacks coming off the board. Josh Allen going 4, a bit unrealistic maybe, but we've got to pick number 8, and we got people like Jonathan Taylor there, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, and the first thing that always comes to mind for these as well is obviously it's Superflex. Are you thinking I need to get a quarterback, or are you just like I'll see who there is?
Yeah, so I would normally always go quarterback in a Superflex league of any sort, any format where you play Superflex. So it's really tempting having JT there.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting him to come down to number 8.
Yeah.
So yeah, right. Let's. I would normally always go quarterback round 1, but I'm going to take a risk on one of the top guys, one of the top quarterbacks being back there at 2.5. So let's go with Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor, I love it. You're the first guy to pick Jonathan Taylor on this show. So let's get him locked in, and this will be really interesting now because I think whenever you take someone like Jonathan Taylor in round number 1, do you think that you're like automatically going into right? I got to win now if you're taking that level of running back right away.
Yeah, I think so. I think we'll see how the first 3 or 4 rounds pan out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's interesting. Taylor's obviously rated as number 1 in so many formats. And I think he'll be the highest scoring player in most formats this year. Most scoring formats overall. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens with him.
100%.
So, in terms of my quarterback tiers, if I was, I don't write quarterback tiers, but I have it kind of in my head, and it's interesting. So the guys that are in the top tier went the first 4 picks, and then the 3 guys in the next tier have already come off the board. However, I'm quite comfortable from a fantasy perspective. I'm quite comfortable taking Jalen Hurts here. Now, I have a lot of Eagles supporting friends and acquaintances on Twitter who are not sold on Hurts as a quarterback for their franchise, but from a fantasy perspective, because of his rushing upside, more than comfortable taking him here.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts, like for large stretches of last year, he was quarterback 1, overall for a lot of that. And we're going to find out this year about Jalen Hurts because there can't be any more excuses now. That Eagles team is looking really strong. And, he's added, obviously, AJ Brown as well to his weapons. So we're going to really find out if Jalen Hurts is the real deal or not this year. And it'll be interesting to see. But I think he's, like you said, he's certainly worthy of this position for fantasy football. Like there's a difference between a good fantasy quarterback and a good real life NFL quarterback. So let's get Hurts locked in as our first quarterback and pick number 2.
Okay.
No 3rd round reversal in this. I've toyed with doing 3rd round reversal. It seems to be becoming more and more common. What are your thoughts on that?
So I'm in Scott Fishbowl 12, and that's the first fantasy league I've ever been in that's done a 3rd round reversal. I don't believe they did 3rd round reversal in Scott Fishbowl last year. I can't remember. I don't think they did. So yeah, and it is. I don't want to come away from Dynasty too much, but it's something I did consider for the JTT Cup this year. But I did go against it. I did put a poll up on the Twitter page. And it was kind of 70-30 against. So I was more than happy not doing it. With Scott Fishbowl, I'm sat in the middle, so it didn't really affect me too much. So I've got pick 5. So I was still in the middle for the 3rd and 4th round. But yeah, how it affects the people at each end of the draft, it remains to be seen, because I was lucky enough to get what I wanted, which was pick 5. So yeah.
No, I kind of plucked for pick 9 because I knew that reversal was coming, so I thought I'll go 9 and see how it works out. It's doing all right. It's doing all right so far. But our main focus is your draft here, man. We're doing great so far with Jonathan Taylor and Jalen Hurts, and back on the clock now again. And you got some great players still there. Jalen Waddle's still there. Derrick Henry's still there. You can really hammer running back hard at the start. T. Higgins, Travis Kelce, T. Law, Tyreek Hill, and I can filter the different positions as well if you want.
Yeah. I think It's interesting. So Waddle's ADP's gone back above Hill.
Yes.
Do you know what? I'm going to take Waddle. I'm not a Dolphins fan because I'm a Jets fan, so I really don't like the Dolphins. But here I'm looking again, thinking I'm on the short side of the next until my next pick. All the top tier quarterbacks are now gone, so I've got a bit of flexibility taking Waddle. When it gets round to 4.5, I could take a Lawrence, or I don't know who else would be in that.
Fields might be there.
Fields could be. You're probably too early for a Mac Jones or a Tua or a Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
So, let's keep going with players with first names beginning with J and pick up Jalen Waddle.
Nice.
It wasn't planned.
If you could do that the whole way through, I'd be very impressed. So let's get J number 3 locked up. We got JW in the team as well, and we're swinging back around the game. Not seeing any red coming off the board. That's good. So no quarterbacks went off the board. And right, you got to take Justin Fields now, right? You got to get the 4th J, right?
Yeah, I think my only concern with Fields this year is I don't think the Bears are going to be that good overall, and I don't love the Bears receivers. I know they've just added in Keel Harry yesterday, but that's nothing to write home about. That wasn't really news to me. I think Cole Kmet's going to have a decent year this year and make a leap. That's my only concern with the Bears. However, one of the other things I'm thinking about is because I think they're going to do really poorly, they should be playing from behind a lot, which means Fields should be throwing a lot.
True.
Something else, not high on my list of priorities, but it is something at the back of my mind I think about. So let's go with Fields. Get that second quarterback out of the way, and then we can start building the other positions. And
that's the main reason. Another J, right? That is brilliant. 4 J's in a row. This is the unstoppable team, right? I'm trying to think who might come up next up because of the J, but I think you might have to maybe reach too far for a 5th J in your team. So let's have a look and see who we got. We got people like Derek Carr as well sitting up there. He's quite good. Darren Waller, Terry McLaurin obviously just got that big new contract, and then Aaron Jones, Treylon Burks, and Mike Evans in there, and Jerry Jeudy if you're really wanting to continue the streak.
So I'm going to go with Mike Evans actually. I really rate Terry McLaurin. He's done very well, regardless of who his quarterback's been recently, whether it's been Heineke or Fitzpatrick. He's now obviously got Wentz there. However, I just feel Mike Evans is going to be an absolute beast this year. We've got no Gronk. We've got question marks on the fitness of Godwin. He's still fairly young from a dynasty point of view. Happy to break the J streak and bring Mike Evans on board.
Yeah, Mike Evans. I think Mike Evans is like so constantly, undervalued. I think as well. Like, even just looking at people like Garrett Wilson there and Treylon Burks there. I mean, the dream scenario for those two is they turn into Mike Evans. But Mike Evans already is Mike Evans. So I think here you just take the proven thing. So I love that pick of Mike Evans, constantly undervalued and slots in really well.
Them ADPs for Burks and Garrett Wilson, that's people overvaluing age. They could absolutely be great wide receivers. And as a Jets fan, obviously, I'm hoping Wilson is going to be amazing. But they could also not be. They could be the other end of the scale. I'm trying to think of someone who's been really, really overvalued recently as a rookie, but I'm struggling. But I'd rather take I've started a roster here that I think could win. I'd rather take the proven vet who's got Brady thrown to him, lost some of the people around him that's taken his targets away. It's a no-brainer there for me.
Yeah, exactly. And you could end up with Trey Sermon's the one almost everyone talks about, right? Trey Sermon's the go-to flop guy, or Jalen
Yeah.
Rager before him, right?
Yeah, Rager or JJA
Yeah.
AW.
Or Sega. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, here we go. Back again. Round number 6. And the streak is over. You don't have any pressure to draft Josh Jacobs now or draft anyone else beginning with J. You can relax a bit, right?
yeah, so it's difficult here because I like the 3 running backs at the top that I can see on the screen here.
Yeah.
If it wasn't Dynasty, I would take Zeke 100 times out of 100 here. But
Yes.
obviously his injuries concern me. Having said that, Fournette and Jacobs are not spring chickens either.
True.
Yeah, let's go Zeke. I'll take Zeke. He might only be good for one more year.
Yeah. But in this team as well, you can just pair him up with Jonathan Taylor for that year, and get Mike Evans involved, get Jalen Waddle involved, try and win that championship this year. So I really like Ezekiel Elliott at pick number 5 in round number 6. So let's get him locked in. And Leonard Fournette as well. You're right. Like Josh Jacobs, there are question marks. James Conner as well. Those running backs coming off the board. Question marks over all of these running backs. There's a question mark in my eyes over almost every running back though in the league. Their window is so small, right? That it's just like, whoa, what do you even do here? But I like Zeke for that year certainly. So let's see who's still hearing us for the 7th round. You got Keenan Allen up there, Jameson Williams, AJ Dillon, Kirk Cousins.
See, I would have taken Schultz here if he hadn't gone earlier. I really like Schultz's chances. I've got a lot of shares of him across lots of different formats this year. So I'm probably not going to go tight end because he's come off the board because the big 3, Andrews, Kelsey, Kittle, obviously, and then the next tier down for me are then the next 3 guys that have come off the board. Probably Waller over Hockenson. So interesting that Hockenson went before Waller, but probably Waller, Hockenson, and then Schultz. And then after that, there's another tier break. So I'm probably going to go wide receiver here again. Yeah, I'm happy taking Keenan Allen. Allen Evans is a good call there. I'd love to take Elijah Moore, but that'd be a homer pick.
I was gonna ask you about Elijah Moore, and actually, the Jets. I've said on the show, all kind of year on the show, it's like it must be a great time to be a Jets fan because there are so many players like on a dynasty roster that you want who are on the Jets. Like you want Zach Wilson, you want Breece Hall, you want Garrett Wilson, you want Elijah Moore, you want like all of these young superstars. How are you feeling as a Jets fan about what's coming up?
Yeah, it's the hope that kills you, really. Obviously, really pleased with what we've done this off season, and the team that we have now in terms of GM and coach as well. It seems the right fit. And Douglas done a great job. He's got some real value for some really average players, which we've been able to convert into some promising, and that's all they are at the moment, is some promising young stars in this draft. When we traded up for Hall, I felt a little bit surprised because, Michael Carter had a decent year last year. Not amazing. But yeah, it's exciting, but it's also a concern because Wilson's got no excuses this year in my mind. As in Zach Wilson. We've improved the O-line. We've given him more weapons. So if we start, we've got a real tough first 6 games as well. If we start 1-5, 2-4, or 0-6, which feasibly we could, then there's going to be a lot of pressure on him. So yeah. But for this pick, I'd love to take more. I might take him on the way back if he's still there, but we'll go with Allen for the purpose of this, I think.
Yeah, I think, obviously love Elijah Moore, but, Keenan Allen right there just stands a little bit head and shoulders above everybody else, I think, there. Like, he's, great player and linked to Justin Herbert. Like, just as good as it gets. And unfortunately, Elijah Moore didn't quite make it back. Another Moore did, Sky Moore. He's sitting there along with, Dallas Goedert, who I was excited about Dallas Goedert, and then AJ Brown appeared, so that excitement has to go down a little bit, right?
Yeah. Again, it's a little bit like the Schultz situation. So I would have taken Schultz. He went 2 picks early. My tier for tight end starts with Frymuth from the Steelers. And he's now gone. I'm not out on Goddard, but yeah, Brown will take a lot of his targets away.
Yeah.
And I just think, like I said, part of the reason for taking Hurts, like the Eagles don't throw the ball enough because of that weapon he has with his legs. So, I don't really like any of the wide receivers on the board.
I can scroll down a bit for you. So you got Cortland Sutton was kind of hiding there. Christian Watson, Brandon Ayuk is there. Miles Sanders. Oh yeah, we've hit a bit of a bumper here, right?
It's going to be a reach, but I need this position. So I'd rather take Knox over Goddard. So let's take Knox.
Dawson Knox locked in. Part of that, very, very high powered offense, obviously, and obviously last year his points came mostly from touchdowns, but you gotta hope and you gotta think that the amount of touchdowns he scored last year and how reliable he was, hopefully they'll give him a bit more targets this year. They'll try and work him in a bit more because of how reliable he was.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, let's see who we've still got here.
Okay.
Some risky kind of guys, Allen Robinson and Michael Thomas there as well, and just hard to know what to do with them after their last year in particular. Yeah. Brandon Cooks always safe and reliable there as well, and I can sort by position as well, Matt, if you ever need me to.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I think, to be honest, I think I'm leaning towards Cooks anyway. I love Allen Robinson, but again, there's so many people on the Rams offense taking targets.
Yeah.
I just don't know what he's going to be like.
No.
Cup is the go-to guy, and Cup was always going to be the main man on that team last year, but even he exceeded expectations by a mile. Thomas, I just don't trust in any format. No. Who knows what's going to happen with him, and there's not enough value at running back here, so I think we'll go with Cooks.
Yeah, I like that. Brandon Cooks is just solid, steady, and I like Davis Mills is a good quarterback as well, so I think he'll do well with Brandon Cooks next year. Let's see who we got in round number 10, and Davis Mills is sitting up there as well, and Jameis Winston. And do you always try and think, right, I need 3 quarterbacks in Superflex? Are you just happy with 2, or what? You just differ for each draft that you do?
Yeah, to be honest, I'd normally take 3. What are the bye weeks on? Can you go on team here? Can you show me the team tab?
Yep.
There we go. So you got Hurts at 7, and what's the bye week on the other quarterback?
Fields
14.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to go Mills here.
Yep.
From a fantasy point of view, Winston is so boom or bust. He'll have weeks where he gets you 40 points, and then he'll have weeks where he gets you 4. So it's just insane. Yeah. I love him in best ball because you can have him as a third choice, and it's fine. Here, and the other thing as well is that Winston's bye week for this season clashes with Fields. So I think Mills is going to be pretty decent this year. I think you'll get consistency from him. You're not going to get 450 yards and 6 touchdowns a game from him, but you might get 20, 22 points from him most games. Scoring format, but standard scoring format. So happy taking him here. Nice little Houston stack there in the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, exactly. And the same sort of thing that you kind of talked about and touched on with Fields as well. Like the Texans are going to be behind every single game, right, this year. So he's going to be throwing the ball a lot.
Exactly.
Nice. So
we're
back on the clock, and Jameis just went right before there to team number 7, and there's some interesting running Romandra Stevenson, an interesting running back, Adam Thielen. That kind of player I talked about at the start of the show, that rental kind of player, but he'll do a great job probably for that year or maybe two, and then you got some of these.
I definitely know who I'm taking here. So Romandra Stevenson's an interesting one because I think long term he's probably the Pats RB1. But the value screaming out here for me is Tyler Lockett. I know there's question marks about who's throwing to him. You know, it's going to be. Well, it looks like it's going to be Locke or Smith. You know, Baker's gone to the Panthers. There's a little bit of chat around Jimmy G potentially going to the Seahawks, but the flip side with Lockett is he seems to outperform his ADP every single year, and I am not as high on DK Metcalf as most people are. I don't think people are high on him. I think people are starting to be concerned about him, and I'm lower than most, so I'm quite happy picking up Lockett here for that reason.
Yeah, let's get Tyler Lockett locked in. And it's hard to, you're right. It's hard to know what to do, but you're right. I think Lockett will, outscore. For example, look at these receivers going around him. Like, will Lockett get more points than Alex Pierce or Michael Gallup or Kadarius Toney? Probably, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got him locked in our team. And now pick number 12. Loads of quarterbacks sitting up at the top now. Matt Ryan, Luke Willis, Desmond Ridder.
I'm not going to take another quarterback yet. I know we're only doing 18 rounds. If I was going to take a fourth quarterback, it would absolutely be one of the rookies that probably is going to start this year. And I'm just looking ahead to, what's her situation going to be going forward?
Yeah.
From a real life perspective, not a fantasy perspective. I've got 3 quarterbacks there that have decent upside and have the opportunity to be quite consistent, but also have the opportunity to be consistently bad. I've not got one of the real superstars, so but I'm not going to take one here. Let's have. I think I'm quite comfortable. I've got a lot of shares in him as well. Alberto will go for a second tight end.
Yeah, Alberto as well. With he's finally got that chance now, right? That people have been screaming.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think he'll do a pretty good job over there at Denver with obviously his new quarterback throwing the ball. So yeah, Alberto, I think prime for a big season coming up.
Yeah, and I think so. In my mind, Alberto is going to outperform his ADP this season. I think. I certainly have him above McBride and Smith. I have him above Fant. Fant's been keeping him out of the job, so to speak, the last season. But I'd rather try Russell Wilson throwing to me than Drew Lock or Geno Smith. So I think Komet's going to have a good year. But Alberto, in my mind, is probably 5 or 6 tight ends above where this draft has ranked him. So, yeah, more than happy taking him where I've taken him. That's for sure.
Yeah, really nice. And you can kind of flip between, there might even be some weeks, even though you've taken him, like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds later, there'll be some weeks where actually you'll start Alberto instead of Dawson Knox, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so we're back on here. We got.
Honest, it's a fairly easy choice again here for me. In terms of the top players on the board there, Jacoby Myers. I think I know the Pats have strengthened at wide receiver with some veteran guys. But I still in my mind, we have to play him twice a year, and I still see him as the top guy in New England. So to get him in round, what are we in, 13 as a 5th or 6th option, I think, why not?
Yeah, I think that's a great selection. Myers is someone I've been really targeting as well this offseason, trying to get. I think I even got him on a waiver wire in one of my leagues, I think. So that was very surprising. So he is going, this late and later in real, startup drafts as well. So I've been grabbing everywhere just because of what you just said. Like, I think he's the guy there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, we got loads of running backs sitting up at the top. Darrell Henderson, Khalil Herbert, a guy I quite like, Chuba Hubbard, Kenny Gainwell, Hines, Golladay sneaking at the bottom for wide receiver. Any other positions you want to see, or is there a running back there you like?
No, to be honest, I think if this is obviously when I'm doing a startup, this is the start of the draft. I start thinking about not handcuffs, so to speak, but the odd person that you might want to pick up that might serve the whole year, but because of potential and more likely injuries, might come into the fore. So for that reason, I'm going to take Chuba Hubbard or Chuba Hubbard. I don't know how you pronounce it, just because of CMC's injury history. And they've added Baker. How much are they going to throw? The pass to rush ratio at the Panthers is difficult to call right now because we don't know who's going to start is going to be. CMC clearly takes a lot of the load on both sides of the offense when he's playing. But people have faith in CMC because of his injury history. Although he's still the top running back in the league when he's healthy. Yeah. But for that reason, I'm happy taking Hubbard here.
Now, you think Hubbard will beat out Donta Foreman, who's obviously joined in the offseason?
Yeah, I think he will. I rate Foreman, but Hubbard will beat him out. Yeah, for slot 2.
Yeah, Hubbard seems to fit the system a bit more than Foreman, right? Foreman's more of a smash runner, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's get Hubbard locked in then, and if CMC goes down, then he's worth his weight in gold. And if that's what happened last season, I've seen people paying a lot to get Chuba Hubbard on their team whenever they had lost Christian McCaffrey. So that's even a sneaky thing about Dynasty as well, right? It's like, I'll take Hubbard here, and when McCaffrey goes down, I'll just sell him, and get those picks in. So really like getting Hubbard in there. And you know what, Jarvis Landry didn't quite come back. He's going very late at the minute as well. I think that's great value around number 15.
Yeah, I have my eye on him. The other person I had my eye on, the other two people I had my eye on have gone. So I know. So Evan Engram did not set the world alight of the Giants, but the Jags in the system that they've got now, I think he's actually gonna shine. And again, question marks really over the Jags receivers, wide receivers anyway. So I was hoping he'd come back. And the other guy I like this year, who I'm getting late in lots of formats, is MVS. Now that he's gone to the Chiefs, I picked him up as late as round 17, 18 in some drafts. But he's gone. So let's have a look. This is where
that was interesting about, and I can't remember who it was now told me, but it was a really interesting stat about Doug Peterson. The leader in receiving yards of the Doug Peterson offense has never been the wide receiver.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, let's have a little look.
So you got Tyler Higbee up there, and then a lot of these rookies kind of appearing now, right? And it's almost at the point where you're like, this is take a punt on a rookie like Khalil Shakir, Tyquan Thornton. Although some other players in here that are quite good. Nico Collins sitting there too.
How many tight ends have I taken? Is it just 2?
Let's have a look. You got Dawson Knox and Alberto. Oh, 2.
I don't know about Brevin Jordan. I really don't.
Let's have a look and see who else is there. So in terms of Garrett Everett is sitting there as well, obviously at the Chargers, who's obviously much better situation this year than he was last year.
I think I'm happy taking Higbee here, to be honest.
Yeah.
Again, the Ram situation at receiver is just swamped. But he's number 1 tight end there. So you're right about Everett. I think he'll do really well in another high-powered offense at the Chargers. Higbee, Tonyan. He had that one good year, didn't he? And then he was picked really highly last year and didn't do so well. Be interesting to see how his situation pans out without Adams there. But I'm happy taking Higbee here, I think.
Yeah, let's get Higbee locked in. And one of the things I really noticed about Higbee last year, which might not necessarily translate into fantasy or dynasty success, but just watching the Rams play a lot last year, he was a real leader in that team, right? Everyone seemed to gather around him and really listen to what he says. So hopefully, that leadership will get him his fair share of his targets as well.
Yeah, exactly. Just scroll down my
let's
roster
go.
quickly. What positions have I got in the flex spot? Is it 2 wide receivers? Yeah.
So at the minute, yeah, it's your 2 receivers, but yeah, you can obviously flick in.
Running back again, really. What running backs have we got on the board?
Let's have a look. So, I mean, Isaiah Pacheco, who's probably not even going to make the team, to be honest. Is up at the top there. That's
I'm not liking that. Not liking that.
No.
What have we got? What's the quarterback still?
Quarterback. There's probably going to be loads of quarterbacks because Sleeper has this glitch where all the quarterbacks are going to go here. Actually, so if you want a quarterback, you take one now because they're all going to go.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's try and get trade bait for a running back at a later date.
I mean, Matt Ryan's there, but I don't think he would be, right? In round 16, he would be long gone, right?
It's interesting because you've got Willis and Ridder who are in. They could feasibly be the starters this year. They could, versus Mariota and Tannehill. But more likely is that they'll start next year, both of them. So let's take Willis. I said that if I took a 4th quarterback, it'd be a rookie. Let's go with Willis. I mean, I don't. There's not much between them in my mind. The ADP shows that as well. So let's go. With,
I think
hands out for later.
Willis as well. I mean, it's maybe quite bad, but one of the funniest things is to see the people who like draft teams with like the rookies in them before they're drafted in the NFL draft, and how high Malik Willis is going in some of these drafts, and people are just left going, "What have I done?" So we've got him locked in though, and we got him quite late as well.
Right about that glitch, the right quarterback run there.
Yeah, I can't fix it either. I've tried different formats. It just seems to be the way that it works. And if I try and do it the other way, where I add extra quarterbacks, all the quarterbacks just go all the way up here, and then you get to like pick off the best. So this seems to be the best way to do it.
So I've decided I'm going to go wide receiver.
Yeah.
This pick, and then probably a punt on a running back for the last round. But
nice. So at receiver, you got Laviska Shenault, Odell Beckham Jr., still a free agent, I believe. I haven't heard anything anywhere. Tim Patrick, Van Jefferson, KJ Osborne, Nico Collins, Devontae Parker as well.
I want to put a rookie in, so I'm going to go. I haven't got many shares in, to be honest, but I'm going to go with Romeo Doubs. Justin Ross could be fantastic, but obviously with his well-documented injury problems, that's why he's fallen so low behind some of the other rookie wide receivers. So let's go with Doubs. And we'll try and pick a running back for the last round.
Yeah, with Doubs as well, it's just like there's a chance, right? He's on that team, and at round number 17, a chance is fine, right?
Yeah.
Right, and let's see who the running backs are available here. You got Snoop Connor, who himself might have a bit of a chance at the start of the season. Dearness Johnson, exit running back, bad situation. Chris Carson may never play again.
Yeah. Definitely not Carson. I think I'm happy taking a punt on Mark Engram here.
Oh yes,
There's quite, he's getting on a bit, but there's still question marks over Kamara's suspension.
Yep.
It depends what you read. It doesn't sound like it might not be this year now, and it certainly might not be for many games. But yeah, if you're going to pick someone up in round 18 that might do you a solid job to cover some bye weeks while they're starting suspended, why not? So let's round it out with him.
Lovely. Mark Engram locked in. Could end up being, like you said, the starter for a few weeks anyway next year. So great way to round out the draft. So let's have a little look and see how our team is looking. So we have got Jalen Hurts sitting at quarterback with the running back room of Jonathan Taylor and Ezekiel Elliott. Then, unbelievable wide receiver core here with Jalen Waddle, Mike Evans, and Keenan Allen. You got Dawson Knox as your tight end, and then you got in the flex spots, which obviously you can change. You got Brandon Cooks and Tyler Lockett, and then Justin Fields in your super flex, and that could move in and out with Davis Mills. Backing up at tight end, you got Alberto, And then you got Jacoby Myers, Chuba Hubbard, Tyler Higbee, Malik Willis, Romeo Dobbs, and Mark Engram rounding off the team. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I think there's a good mix of vets and younger players. I don't love the quarterback situation. We talked about Hurts and what his situation in real life might look like beyond this season. But from a fantasy perspective, he can outscore even the top guys. Not maybe across a whole season, but certainly any given week.
Yeah.
But I really like how strong the wide receiver room is. And I'm pretty happy with the starting running back, certainly. And there is some upside on the bench as well. So I'm quite pleased with that overall.
Yeah, I think definitely you should be. There's a really nice blend there of, like you said, of experience in some places and youth in other places, and with some of those players like Jonathan Taylor, who we got in the first round, and like Jalen Hurts, those guys are primed to be really good next year. So you give yourself a real shot at winning that championship right away in year number one, which is obviously something you can lord over your league mates for the end of time, right? You're like, I won the first one, everything else after that isn't the same, right? Yeah, so love it, Matt. And I just want to say, just thank you so much again for coming onto the show and for sharing your hints and tips with everybody and showing us how it's done with that amazing mock draft. And just before we say goodbye, Matt, you just want to tell everyone where they can find you online again?
Yeah, so on Twitter, it's on the screen. My handle is @Coup84_FF. The charity league that I run, which is called the JTT Cup, has its own account. Is a best ball, and can't play it this year now because we're now drafting. But sign-ups are open for 2023 already. That's @JTT Cup, all one word. But yeah, no, thanks for having me on. It's been good to chat through them bits and pieces with you, and look forward to seeing you in real life on Saturday at the big FFC event. It's going to be a hot one in London, and it's going to be a great day. I think the guys who've put it on have done a really fantastic job, and looking forward to meeting a lot of people that I've interacted with virtually over the last kind of 3 or 4 years. Yeah,
it should be great fun. Can't wait, and looking forward to seeing you there as well. And just want to say, thanks once again, Matt, for coming on, and thanks everyone listening as well. And just reminding everyone, even though a hot seat's cooling off for another week, just keep yourselves and your teams lit until then, and we'll see you next time.